Hello, I'm Philip Silverstone. What exactly does that mean? Stick around, and over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you.
You need to meet our next guest, Mr. Philip Silverstone. How nice to meet you.
Hello. It's a while.
Yes, what exactly?
Hello. Every week I say the same stupid thing. Well, I'm the same stupid person that presents the same show every week. I almost said stupid, but it's not. Yep, there I am. I can see myself now all over the place. I'm live. Hopefully you're live. If you're watching this, I only like live people watching this. Welcome to Silverstone Live on Facebook with the recorded videos available here on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel immediately after the live show. This is the place for fashion, entertainment, food and drink, and so much more. Each week I invite a special guest to join me to discuss one of these topics. Post your thoughts and comments during the live show right below the live stream, and my guest will address as many as possible in the next hour. And if you've got any comments you want to make, just go ahead and make the comments, questions, whatever you want. Before we go any further, I have to just play a little something for the people who helped me to make this very, very possible. And if anything goes wrong while I'm doing this, it's going to make them and me look very silly. So let's just hope it doesn't. Silverstone Live is powered by Experiment, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, the Apple specialist for people who can't afford the Apple stores and who want a less frenzied experience. There's no wait time at Experiment, King of Prussia. They accept trade-ins and transfer data at no additional charge, and most repairs are finished in under 15 minutes, and they can add memory on the spot. Experiment, King of Prussia specializes in selling pre-owned Apple products, the full range, computers, iPhones, iPads and accessories, making repairs, taking trade-ins and selling software and system updates. And every purchase comes with a 12-month warranty. Silverstone Live is only live each week thanks to our studio equipment, care and support by my mates at Experiment, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Well, there you go. They're the people that help me out here. So let's get on with the show. I wrote this note to myself a couple of weeks ago, having watched the film that we're going to be discussing today. And here's the quote. I just watched this short film and it moved me and it broke my heart. The production, editing, music and acting were absolutely breathtaking. And in the year that we remember the centenary of the Great War, Krieg depicts the embers of the Second World War in one of the finest, most engaging examinations of the line that separates good from evil. An award for bravery in cinema is justified and deserved by all who fought to make this film a reality. The narrow line between good and bad was made even narrower by this 40-minute film, and irony and inevitability and destiny all cross paths along the way. I found the visuals and the sound and the music exceptionally powerful, and despite being low budget, I never once felt shortchanged. The editing was extraordinary, and the actors' facial expressions said more than the subtitles. So that was my quote, ladies and gentlemen. Krieg, and that's Krieg, and you'll be seeing a lot more of that name, is a very powerful short film that follows the journey of a soldier whose guilt for not preventing a murder, an atrocity, an act of war, puts his own life at risk to protect a wounded enemy airman. Krieg is a film that makes us question how we perceive war and how we judge enemy behavior and motives, blurring our vision of war, which is ultimately not only fought on the battlefield, but as our guest today says, it's not only fought on the battlefield, but in the hearts of men. Jeff Fry wrote produced, directed, and shot this intimate WW2 film. He is today's guest, and he's waiting in our virtual green room. But before I welcome him to the show, I want to run the official trailer to Krieg. You may have already seen it in the promotion for today's show, but I don't care how many times you watch it, you'll never get bored with it. And let's roll the tape now. Jeff Fry is a Swiss Army knife in the film world, having worked in a variety of roles, including writer, director, and cinematographer. He's helped produce training manuals, publications, and industrial videos supporting advancements in military technology and satellite communications. He's also a commercial and fine art photographer. He managed a state-of-the-art facility, pioneering the field of color micrographic photography, and he has lectured on color film preservation technology at Yale University. And now it is my absolute pleasure, and I'm sure at 8 minutes into the show he hasn't fallen asleep yet. Jeff, oh, by the way, I should mention the most important thing. Krieg is Jeff Fry's directorial debut. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words and introduction, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of my cast and crew and my sponsors for the opportunity to actually be on your show today. We consider it a privilege and an honor to be here.
Wow. Well, I appreciate that. Wait for 60 minutes and then say that. You may lose all your sponsors today, but Jeff, I've made it very clear to you, and your publicist as well, from the very beginning, how moved I was by this film, and essentially how important this film has been to me, because I am a World War II. I'd say a World War II buff. I think there's so much more I need to know and to understand, but you've touched so much on this. Let me start with another of my loves and my passions, and it seems to pop up quite a lot on these shows. But I have to ask you, what did you do at NASA?
I worked at NASA when I was 19. Actually, yeah, about 18, 19 years old. What I did there, I was working for a company called Ford Aerospace and Communications. And we were doing, there's equipment in mission control, all the big computers and stuff that they have.
Yeah.
My job was to actually go in there and shoot pictures of the equipment with 4x5, big 4x5, camera with the hood over your head stuff. And then I'd make prints, and our artists, our airbrush artists, illustrators back then, we didn't have CAD, and we didn't have Photoshop, and we didn't have stuff like that. So airbrush artists would take my photographs, and they would actually airbrush and paint in upgrades to the equipment that was going to go in. And then those would go into the proposals that would go back to NASA to actually, for their next session, the upgrades on all the equipment. So I was basically the youngest and probably the youngest kid that ever worked there, and without security clearance. You know,
Wow.
I went into to the Mission Control Center and I shot photographs.
So your next film, you're going to be borrowing off of them some Saturn V rockets from that they don't use anymore from the Apollo mission. And let's get straight into the film. And there's a reason why we're split screen, ladies and gentlemen. I will do a full screen of Jeff shortly, but it will reveal a second guest that we have on today's show, somebody who features in the film, and I don't want to reveal that guest until a few minutes' time. But there are two guests on today's show, and I'm laughing at the guest. He'll give me hell in a minute. Seriously, Jeff, I see your film more as an essay or a polemic rather than a soldier's story. What do you see it as?
That's probably a good point. I really was trying to show various sides. I think the point of the movie was to show the reaction instead of the action. When we see films nowadays, we're always bombarded by the action, by the deaths, by the killing. We see the brutality of that. In this particular film, what I wanted to do was, the only people that benefit from what happened is those people who survived and went on. So it's really based on the witness, and I wanted to show their point of view, the people that actually survived, their reaction to the war. And so I spend more time with them than I do with any of the action that takes place in there. And I think that helps reveal a different side that we've never really seen in the films.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to touch on something in a minute about that. But as I mentioned at the very beginning, this film is your directorial debut. It took, ladies and gentlemen, 8 years to see the light of day. So, Jeff, what inspired you to write this story and to pursue it as the vehicle for your passion and your drive?
In a nutshell, serving others. I spent a lot of time working on other people's film projects, and I met vast amounts of people that so much talent, and we were always working on projects that seemed not to be able to translate that talent. And I felt like what I wanted to do was create a film project that I could take all those friends, all those people that I knew, and show off what they were capable of doing. But to do that, I had to do something that was far more ambitious than what you would ordinarily see, you know, the type of films that we were actually working on. So I think serving the other people, the people around me, my friends, and people that I had a lot of talent that I, really needed an opportunity, that became the through theme to the movie. It really wasn't designed around the World War II story. It was designed around helping these people, and I was really looking at what is the best film that I can make. What would it take to actually show off everybody's talent?
So you created a vehicle, a film that you felt, as you've just said, would be the best possible film for collaboration with other independent filmmakers, and you also felt, if I'm not mistaken, that these independent filmmakers could learn from so much, not only from you, but from making what was and I'll use this word a lot today, an epic, a large-scale, small film. And I assume that you hopefully learned a lot from them along the way.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And a lot about myself, too. You know, I mean, one of the reasons why I think I did something so ambitious, if you will, is I have to challenge myself. There's no growth if you don't challenge yourself. And so basically we chose something that was extremely huge to do. In its simplest form, it's really just two men on a walk in the woods. But we peppered it with so much, vehicles, the planes, the different things like that, that it actually has this epic look to it.
Yeah.
But it was a definite challenge.
Well, I want to just cover a few things here in another, and then I promise you I'll shut up. But I have to just cover a few things here just to get this point across. And I just want to say hello to our friend Anne Smith. Hi, love you, Anne. I just had a drink to your health for the season. So Krieg is, and I want folks listening in, watching in, to take note of what I'm saying here, because this is all so incredible. Krieg is an American foreign film because the dialogue is German and French with subtitles. But the film was produced in the United States. Jeff Fry, our guest here, shot the film in 35mm, giving it a very natural feel and style appropriate to the period in which it was set, the end of the Second World War. The clothes, even the shoes and the props are authentic to the period. And the scale of the film, once again to use the word, is epic. It incorporates vintage aircraft and vehicles and equipment of the time. Jeff, all of this smacks of an obsession to get it right, to document a piece of fictitious history as if it happened and as it happened. An independent filmmaker doesn't normally make their first film as what we can call a costume drama and on such a big scale. You've set the bar so high for other independent filmmakers now, and I would say yourself included. You're nuts, right?
After 8 years of dealing with this, yes. If it didn't drive me nuts, I was nuts to begin with. Yeah. The thing about it was that in order to get what I wanted to do was to promote people, I had to do something extremely ambitious, and that really meant doing everything that you're told not to do as an independent filmmaker for your first film. I mean, you definitely don't do a period piece. You don't do something costume heavy. You don't do a war film, or vehicles and props and stuff like that. You don't do something in a foreign language with subtitles. And yet, these were everything that I chose to do because that is what would, like you said, would raise the bar. It would get noticed. At least that was the hope. It was really difficult to do, and there were times when we actually thought it wouldn't be finished. That it would never get done. But persistence and prayer and just staying after it. We literally had to just keep going. And I mean, I think I spent. I don't sleep nights anymore. Because I stayed up nights so often.
Hey, you can call me then. That's fine. You can call me in the middle of the night. But, I just want to interject that never before have I seen a film that at the end I waited maybe 5-10 minutes just to think about what I just saw. And I thought, bloody hell, this is a love letter from Jeff. This is a love letter to both sides in the war and in all wars. And not only is it a love letter, but you told me before we started today's show something that shocked me. That is, if you couldn't get the equipment, you made it, you created it. this really is such a tribute, I think, to those people who fought in that war and other wars, that I think it's a monumental success. And it shouldn't be, because you did everything wrong. You did. I mean, you did everything that a first timer shouldn't do. You've just admitted to that, and yet you've come away. Those 8 years were worth every drop of sweat that you shed.
Yeah, it wasn't just myself though. It was a lot of talented people.
Yeah.
You know, you think about how it's edited, the sound, the music, the production design, the actors, just, and all the people that were involved in doing it. I can't tell you what this cast and crew was like. I mean, we'll get into it probably, but you know, there was one instance. Just we were faced with a possible rain out, and we were working with some artificial snow, and
which I will want to get to in a minute. So
we had just put in a full day's worth of work. All right, and but it was going to rain the next day, and I needed to get a scene done. The rain would ruin the artificial snow and stuff like that. So we came back from the day's work, and we ate, and then I asked my crew if they would be willing to go back out at midnight and work another 8 hours. This was like 4 hours off, right? Wow. And to a man, everybody agreed to do it. We went out and we built the entire cemetery scene, snowed it under, and shot it before 8 o'clock. And then it started to pour, and we got it. And that's a tribute to the passion that everybody working on this project had. You know, you can't ask for that from people.
No. Well, you do have a behind-the-scenes clip on the website, and that reminds me that I didn't do something that I should do, so there we are. Throughout the film now, we have Jeff's name on the screen and his website, and if this whets your appetite, you should go to the website. Just watch the footage behind the scenes. So let's talk about the actors a minute, and this will give me an opportunity to open up the screen because I'm going to talk about one of the cast immediately, Jeff. Your company of actors project real people, and not the caricatures we tend to expect from, let's say, Hollywood war films. Any genre, but we're talking here about a war film. Did you give your actors the freedom to express themselves naturally, organically, or was the acting tightly rehearsed with multiple takes? I don't know if you want to give me the answers to that, but I just have my own feeling about it.
Well, here's how that went. When I auditioned my actors, I gave everyone an hour, basically, which, you know, usually you give somebody 5 minutes and they're in and out and you know it. I needed to know that the people I'm working with could be my friend, because I was going to ask a lot from them to do this project. And so I spent the time with them to see just exactly how our relationship was going to build. And based on that, I made the selections of the people that that we actually chose to use. And I think part of the reason in doing so is because I don't speak German and I don't speak French. And as a director, I was going to have to rely on my cast for the authenticity, if you will, of that. And that was a big trust. Now, when it came to guys like Heiko, who plays the part of Winter, Heiko and I spent a lot of time together. He'd come over to my house, and I showed him how to do that little knife twirl that you see in the scene.
I was going to mention that in a minute.
Well, okay.
Did he actually do that?
Yes, he did that.
We're all going to see that in a minute. Let's get to that. Well, carry on. I'm getting ahead of myself. You carry on saying what you were saying.
He rehearsed that at my house, all right? And we talked about this character over and over. And I swear, Heiko embodied the character of Winter. He really did. Everything from, I mean, he's from Cologne, and which was bombed by the B-17s during the war. It was devastated.
Yeah.
And so he's actually working in a film now with the plane, a plane that was like the planes that basically bombed his hometown. So it was quite a, I don't want to say it's an eye-opener. It was quite a revelation to him as an actor to be able to do that, to portray that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I really was working with my actors to do. I mean, we rehearsed for example, the radio room scene with Zoe Sidwell and Alex Dvorak. I had them rehearse that in my living room, and basically, it wasn't to get. It wasn't to rehearse the scene as it should be. It was to get them to gel as partners in this scene, to get them used to each other, to work their speed, and get them to to embody those characters, and they just did.
And that's the scene that I'm going to be showing in about 30 seconds. I think that's the scene where she tells him. Where she mentions his brother in that scene. Is that the
Right.
scene? I'm going to show that scene. Let me just mention that Anne Smith says, you obviously lead by example, Jeff, and your passion must be tangible for your crew and cast to follow you in this way. So I think Anne summed that up nicely. You just spoke about that scene. That actually is one of the scenes I had in mind where I didn't think it was rehearsed because it seemed so natural. What was shocking to me afterwards is to realize that the actress who's playing the French resistance lady is actually an American. I mean, this is the thing about talking about blurring lines. You never know who is what. Let me just show that scene a minute, since we were good enough to get this from you. Let's see. Yes, this is it. Let's show it.
There's real quick. There's a setup to that. That's the scene before it when he reveals that his brother's been killed, so that the audience knows what she's talking about. His brother's okay. He
J'entends on n'a pas le soccer. Un feu quelque part.
Ils étaient à 300 mètres, 10 km à l'est. Nous sommes les plus près.
Il fait noir.
Les flammes te guideront.
On ne les retrouvera jamais.
Il te faut arriver avant la guerre.
Rien ne presse. Même si l'on veut descendre, ils ne les sentiront pas. Les amours produisent les motivations.
Et toi? Mais c'est un SOS. Tu le laisserais tomber? Comme tu l'as fait avec ton frère. Tu meurs comme les gens sur lesquels tu comptes. Reste là sans rien faire.
Wow. How do you know if you don't speak the language? Did you have somebody there to make sure that their pronunciation and their words were correct?
No.
Because she might have been saying, I hate the Americans, and you don't know what or she might have been saying, I hate the French. You don't know. No, you did have somebody, surely.
No. Actually, the actors were really responsible to themselves and to the other actors. One of the things when we're talking about the actors and rehearsing and whatever, it wasn't that we really rehearsed. It's like there was one day in which Heiko and Alexander Shotke and Marko Yankovic they came over to my house, and we sat around and actually worked on the dialogue, the German dialogue, because I'd done some translations, we used all kinds of things, and I would send it out to people that I knew, and they would send it back to me. And ultimately, it came down to we wanted to have the dialogue as accurate as we could for the time period. All right, because authenticity is really what this film was about. It was one of the drives behind the way we did it. We wanted it to be authentic. And so the four of us sat around, and I told them what I wanted the scene to say in terms of the mood and what the intention of the scene was. And then the three of them would sit there, and they're from different areas, but they all speak German, they all speak French, and they all speak different languages, right? So they would sit there among themselves and banter back and forth about what the appropriate word or phrase would be. I mean, I think there's like 300,000 words in the German language. We got, 1.5 million in English. So, you have to be really careful about what you choose to say and the way you put the word structure together so that it actually has the meaning you want. Plus, it has to be time period authentic.
That's
and they would
right.
sit there,
Yeah.
and they would sit there and go back and forth, and then we'd settle on that. And really, it was an act of faith that I would have in my actors, like they would have an act of faith in me that I would give the best possible portrayal. So it was a two-way street all the way with all these people.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly wouldn't want in that scene just now the female and the male female saying, "Hey, dude, they just killed your bro." I mean, you need to have the period. I never even gave, honestly, all joking aside, I never even gave that any thought. So you really did everything wrong. You're dealing in a foreign language you don't speak, making sure that it's true to the period with the type of language they use. Oh my God! Let's talk about the cast. And I'm going to do a reveal in a minute. And the reveal is, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going to begin with the youngest cast member who is actually there with Jeff. Jack Nudo was born in 2010. And I will open the screen up in a minute so you can see him. He's being very good. He was born in 2010, but yet he has the oldest body of any cast member. Now, that's a riddle for our viewers to ponder, but since they probably haven't seen the film, before I put Jack's photo on the screen, I'm going to go to a full screen with you, and maybe they can get what I'm talking about. So we're opening the screen up now, and I wonder if they can see Jack Nudo yet. But if they can't, let me just put him on the screen, and you can tell me what you told me about him. By the way, Jeff, I'm going to be putting some pictures up of the cast members, and maybe you can give us a line or two about each one. So, and I'll tell you who you can't see it. I'll tell you who's going on the screen. Anyway, the youngest cast member, who's older than anyone else, and who you told me you are responsible for. Let's put his picture up on the screen now. There's Jack Nudo. Let's cover you, and there he is there. Tell us about Jack Nudo.
Jack Nudo is patterned after a 400-year-old puppet, marionette, and I didn't have a puppet to use for the film, so I actually had to carve him. And so I patterned him after something from that time period. I think it was a 400-year-old Pinocchio type marionette, with the leather tabs on the shoulders and the different things, the movable feet, and he was operated by Sierra Willis, who was who played Heidi in the film. So she had a gas with him, being able to work the strings and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun.
I was thinking that. And I'm going to put him on the screen now, if I can find him. Yes, let me go to your major character, Heiko Obermoller, who I know also provided some of the still photos that we see in the film. But I was wondering, given his knowledge of puppetry, whether he had any input. Let me put a picture of him so you can answer that question and then tell me anything about him you want to. I've got a picture of him here lighting a cigarette in that snow scene you were referring to. So did he help with the puppetry in any way?
Not in this. Heiko actually does the type of puppets that you see Jim Henson, the Muppet type puppets.
Oh, yes, yeah.
He's extremely proficient at it. He actually teaches classes or he was in the UK. He was teaching classes in how to do that. But this little guy, no, he was just somebody who was built in my garage.
Wow. Okay, so here's Heiko, who plays Conrad Winter, who kind of goes AWOL. He doesn't necessarily do that. He's trying to save some lives in what he's doing. He's a remarkable actor. So any thoughts that you want to share on him? Just a line or two about working with him?
Yes. I don't know if anybody's ever actually, you play the video games that you see, Tour of Duty or some of the military games that are always World War II based.
Yep.
Heiko does a lot of the German voices in those movies. He's a voiceover artist. And when I first cast the part, I really had a different look in mind for my main character, and I was trying to find somebody who actually looked a particular way. And one of my camera operators told me that he had found my lead character, and I told him, no, I don't believe it. Yeah, he says, yeah, I found him. And I said, okay, so send me his info, and I'll have him come in for an audition. And Heiko, I gave him 3 different scenes the night before. He came in and he was off page when he came in. He knew all the dialogue of those scenes the day he walked in, one night. And I mean, they were full scenes. And he came in, but it wasn't, that impressed me. The structure of his face and his eyes, the things that it was the epitome of what I was looking for, but he wasn't what I had been looking for. It was a revelation to me. It opened up my eyes to see that I shouldn't be wearing blinders when I'm looking for something. I shouldn't be preconceived.
Well, good for you. Good for you, because you kept an open mind on that. I'm going to move us on now to Alexander Schotti.
Yes.
I bet you had fun. Did you make his Force Eye?
Yeah. No, I didn't make it. We actually purchased that, and he actually wore it all day long. He'd put it in and he'd leave it in there. He'd walk around. He was very comfortable with that. Alexander is he's an amazing person. He actually designed the website that we have.
Really?
Yes, he did. Yeah,
Good Lord. Okay, well, I mean, that says it all right there. And also the fact that he kept that in his eye. I also have, let's see, we just saw this man in a scene, Joshua M. Bott.
Well, Joshua's the prisoner that gets killed first at the beginning of the movie.
Oh,
it's in the scene that you're talking about is Alex Dvorak.
That's Alex Dvorak. I'm sorry,
No.
and he's playing.
He's playing the brother of the other guy, of Joshua. Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of his name in the movie.
It's Luke Renault.
Okay, I got him as You know what I did? I've got him as Philippe Renault. I got my brothers mixed up. So okay, tell everyone who this is again.
This is Alex Dvorak, and he plays Luke Renault.
Okay, I screwed up there, but he really is an intense actor.
Oh yeah, I cast him for his look, and he usually plays, and this was really funny. He usually plays a bad German, and I told him that I didn't want him to play the German role. I asked him if he would play a French role, and he just loved, that opportunity. That he's going to do something other than that. What he didn't realize was he was going to play the bad French role. so he still ended up being a bad guy, right? But he got to do something other than play the German.
That was a remarkable role. Also, a man who says nothing at all. and I hope I got the right actor this time. Scott Bailey as Jack B. Collins. This is a photo of him in the plane, where just before the knife scene, which I think we're going to see in a minute. He has a kind of a Christopher Reeve look.
Oh yeah. He's actually played Robert Kennedy, so he has that all-American look to him.
Yeah.
But when he came to audition, he actually auditioned for the part of Winter, because he actually was raised, part of his life he was raised in Germany, and he speaks German.
Wow, you screwed that up really well. I like your. I love your choice there. By the way, Anne, let me put this on the screen because I can't see it over there, so it helps if I put it on the screen. Anne says, "Were you able to talk with anyone who was actually operating, who was actually involved in the war at that particular time to make sure of the authenticity of the period?" You must have had someone on set, even if you didn't, that knew the period.
No, there wasn't anyone on set. This was there was a couple of years of research that went into actually doing this. Plus, I was raised on war films, and my dad, of course, was in World War II. So this was an effort to see what we could actually achieve on our own.
Well, in the scene that we saw before, that was Zoe Sidwell, wasn't it, as the operator on the radio. Let's put her on the screen here. She looked very plain and very French, and she's very pretty and she's very American, right?
Yes, she is. I will say this about Zoe: she allowed me not to make her beautiful. All right, this is her beauty just coming through. It's natural. I didn't want to do anything special to her. I wanted her to have this organic look of the woman of that period, and so we really dressed her down. The pants she wears is oversized for her and everything, and she was just one of the most beautiful people to work with. And the things that she had to say, the passion she brought to the film, oh my gosh.
She seemed so natural. I totally believed in her, as I did in the bastard of the film, who we're looking at now, who is on his way to find Winter. And this is Nordman Keeler.
Yeah.
Nasty piece of work. Is he a nasty piece of work in real life?
No, he is one of the funniest guys that you'll ever meet. He brought such joy to the set. I mean, he's hilarious. He's a crack up. He's a really good friend now. He's also very, very talented. He plays guitar. He's got a group called the Vaticans, and he's a musician. And he's kind of one of those guys like. I don't know, Bruce Willis or
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, who just multi-talented.
Multi-talented. Let's get him off the screen. I hate him too much about him. So
what a nice guy, though. He plays the terrible guy, but what a nice guy.
Oh, he plays the perfect terrible guy. I want to put a picture up, but before I do, we touched on this. Now, you shot this film that took 8 years from inception to actually getting it going. It took 8 years, but you actually shot the film in 30 days in California during a drought. So how the hell did you manage? I'm putting the picture up now of this remarkable, stunning snow scene where our main character is looking at an angel, I guess, in the snow. How the hell did you do that during a drought? Was that at 1 a.m?
That is it. The one where he's sitting on the tombstone?
No. It's the one where he's standing across from it, looking at it.
Oh, standing across from it. All right.
But regardless, it's the same setting.
It's the same setting. What you're looking at there is the artificial snow. That's the scene that we did that one night in 8 hours. We actually built that cemetery. We snowed that cemetery. We shot that scene in 8 hours after a full day's worth of work. And then we took a break and it rained. The rain that came actually ended up being snow. And it became the scene with the burning tire that you see.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that was after this scene. That one was shot afterwards. We had the snowfall. We waited. I think we had to wait a day and a half while the rain came down, and then we went back out on a day and a half later at night, and we shot that scene.
Wow, that
it's a mix. It's really a mix.
It's incredible how you pulled that off. I'm looking at the clock and I'm looking at how much I want to talk to you about. So I'm going to move you along and move myself along here so that we can get it all in. The publicity that you put out for your film says the following, and I think we need to share this with the audience. Tasked with locating a French underground transmitter, an elite German SS mountain unit commits atrocities against their partisan prisoners. Shamed by his involvement, one officer is compelled to leave camp and seek out the transmitter on his own, hoping that by finding the radio, he can prevent further crimes. He discovers a downed American aircraft and, in a twist of fate, finds redemption by delivering the wounded bombardier to the very enemy for whom they are searching. You mentioned earlier about how this knife scene, and there's nothing to worry about, folks, it's not a nasty knife scene, was practiced in your home. I want to just show that glimpse of that scene. Okay, so we're going to do that right now.
Ich bin hier, dich zu befreien.
I have to say that happens to be one of my favorite scenes from the film. Firstly, because I love the way that the knife was twisted around. That was brilliant. But it was the only glimpse of humor in the dialogue in the whole film. I mean, there was just this. I guess I was ready to have something that made me laugh because it is an intense, very serious story. But that was, it's like, I'm here to save you, you idiot. Let me just do what I'm doing. But you can imagine that guy seeing a German with a knife. You know he's not going to save you. So it was a perfect scene.
Thank you. That's one of my favorite scenes of the movie. Yeah.
I want to get on to something here which is serious, and you must have been aware of it, even though you say you've written this film around the people. You wanted to create a vehicle for the people that you were going to be working with, but this triggered something in me, and I'm going to ask you to indulge me for a few minutes here and maybe respond to it, because this film sparked so much in me. And I have some thoughts for you, which I won't charge you for, and I may remember to tell you about this as to what you should be doing with this film once it's finished its run and everything. But you make it very clear, and I quote, this is a quote, "The motion picture Krieg, its production companies and website are apolitical." But I did mention at the beginning of the film, Jeff, that it shows how the line between good and evil can become blurred. When good does evil to fight evil, it becomes, in T.S. Eliot's words, indistinguishable from the evil it is fighting. As I said, I'd like you to indulge me for a moment and then perhaps get a response from you to this. Murder in the Cathedral is a verse drama by T.S. Eliot, about the assassination of Archbishop Thomas Becket, a very, very famous murder in Canterbury Cathedral. It took place like 1170. Here are a few lines which I just plucked out from the from Eliot, which I think are very relevant today to the film, to what we're discussing. You think me reckless, desperate and mad. You argue by results, as this world does, to settle if an act be good or bad. You defer to the fact for every life and every act, consequence of good and evil can be shown. And as in time, results of many deeds are blended, so good and evil in the end. So let me say that again, because this is a two-take live show. So good and evil in the end become confounded. Let me continue with one other thought. The bombing of Dresden was carried out, and I'm apolitical, and this show is not political, and so none of my comments here. I'm just devil's advocate here. The bombing of Dresden was carried out by the RAF and the US Air Force between the 13th and the 15th of February in 1945. An estimated 25,000 people were killed. Churchill laid the blame on Air Chief Marshal Arthur Bomber Harris, head of RAF Bomber Command, who strongly objected to Winston Churchill's comparison of that particular raid to an act of terror, a comment Churchill withdrew in the face of Harris's protest. Does these two things that I've just said, do they endorse your motives? Well, they don't endorse your motives for writing Making Krieg, because we know you've given me another reason for doing it. But in light of the finished product, do you believe that this film endorses what I just said?
Yeah, I think that all of us, and this is one of the things that I think this film actually shows. There's good and bad in every one of us, and I really was looking at how conflicted the human body, the human mind, how conflicted it can get, and how we get torn between allegiances. And I believe that in its simplest form, this movie is really the story of the Good Samaritan. And we can look at the evil of the person that is the Samaritan, but we're also looking at the good that he's doing. So it's very gray. Yes, I would say that what you're saying is really the crux of the film. Yeah.
That's what I got from the film. I also just want to show another scene. This had an incredible impact on me. I was wondering if I was going to say this to you or not, but I am going to say it to you. In the scene, we see a piece of paper that has just been a message that's just been received on the bomber. And I wish you would have stayed on that scene a little bit longer so that we could have read it a little bit longer. I actually froze the screen to read that. That's my only criticism. I hope as a friend you'll accept that. That was such an important piece of paper, but we only got a few seconds to read it. I had the pleasure of freezing it. But this was the piece of paper that told them, the American pilots, that they had to do a deed. And let's just show that piece of film now. Here it is. Anything you want to say about this? You don't have to. I just want to show it.
Well, I think along with what we're talking about here is that America was involved in some bad deeds as well. The bombing of Dresden. That was just one city. There were a number of cities, and even in the Pacific, they had something that was called conduct unrestricted, and it was like a policy. It was, bad deeds really beget bad deeds, and so what's done to you, you do to the other. It's almost like a golden rule.
Tit for tat.
Exactly, and we did. The Americans did some atrocious things. The Germans did some atrocious things, and there's no
Well, that's the thin line I'm talking about, or throughout our conversation. That's. Let me just show this scene because I want to be able to show this. This is when the American bomber over Germany gets the message to drop some bombs. Wow. There's so much more I want to talk to you about, but let's just mention that Krieg received 5 awards in London. We were talking about my old part of London, North London, Finchley, where the B-Epic London International Film Festival was held. Eva McCloskey and Randy Kaiser each received an award for Best Production Design. Heiko Obermoller, obviously, for Best Actor. And mega congratulations to you, Jeff Fry, for picking up Best Director and Best Cinematography. I think I got everyone right there. The film was reassigned from the short film to the feature category, where it received the award for Best Feature Film. And I just want to show everyone this lovely award, which I'd love to steal from you. That is a nice piece. You know what? You can melt that down and make something for your next film out of it. That is a lovely award. I would add music composer Douglas Edward to that list. The music was so integral to the film and so perfectly chosen. I don't remember another film having such perfect music for it. That was genius.
Yeah, Douglas is. I don't know where that kind of genius comes from. It's a gift from God that these individuals have. Composers, to me, are one of the most amazing people on the face of the earth. To be able to take a scene and translate a musical cue that expresses that is just a gift, you know. And I will say this about the score. It got me through many, many nights of sleeplessness, you know, of stress about the film. It probably is the main reason why I finished the film, is because I kept hearing this music. He made the cue, the Winter's cue, which is the one right at the end. We call it Winter's theme or Winter's song. It's the one that's over the credits. And I would listen to that at night, every night, and it just kept me motivated to finish this film. So, I mean, kudos to Douglas Edward for helping me to do that.
I'm going to ask you a favor. You don't owe me a favor, but I'm going to ask you for one. If you trust me that I will not share it and I would just keep it for myself, if you could send me some of that music, I would love it, because I would just put the headphones on and play it and probably burst into tears. But if you could send me a little mixtape of that electronically, I would be so appreciative, because it was remarkable. The only other person I know that does such a remarkable job, but he doesn't use original music, is Tarantino. I've lost count of the number of awards Krieg has now won and how many competitions it's won them in. How about updating us here?
Right now, 35 awards, and as many nominations in other categories. So like another 30 or so. And it's been in probably, I would say, about that many festivals. So I would say that the it's averaging one per festival or a festival. It doesn't really, work like that. It's like you'll go into one festival and you'll get 4 awards.
Yeah.
Now you'll go to another festival and you don't get anything. So, but basically it's running an average of 1 for 1.
Well, am I going to be invited, since I'm your new best friend, am I going to be invited to the after party when you win an Oscar for the film? And also, which category would it be entered in?
It will have to be entered into the live action short film category.
Is it going to be entered? I don't know how that works.
No, it is. It actually has been submitted and it was confirmed. They're in the process of selecting the films for their short list at this point. So the films, I believe there's something like 140 short films that they're
rubbish. Who cares? Who cares about the others? And so, can you do me a favor? Can you? I'll have to bring my wife with me. Can you book us an extra 2 seats at Spargo, please, for when you have your dinner afterwards? I will come out if you win. Now, of course, we won't know this, but if you get into the short list, I might come out for a vacation, and maybe you'll feel kind enough to buy me a glass of champagne. How about that?
That sounds great.
Before we sign off, Rabina in Scotland. Hello, love. You're late today. What's going on? You can watch back the video of this. And Anne Smith says, let's put this on the screen. Unfortunately, bad things happen in war. As long as we can learn from them and hope they aren't repeated. However, sometimes we need to be reminded. Anne, you are so brilliant. Anne wants to know. No. Anne wants to know if she can come too. No, that's for mega star directors and I don't know, Facebook hosts. If you pay your own way, Anne, you can come along, yeah. In fact, you know what? I got an idea. If you win the competition, if you win an Oscar, Anne will pay for the whole dinner. Right, Anne? Nice one. Nice one. That's good.
Thanks, Anne.
If you're going to California in January, late January, Krieg is an official selection of the Borrego Springs California Film Festival. Put it in your diary. Saturday, January the 19th, this coming January 2019, 1 p.m. And you can go to borregospringsfilmfestival.org. That one I will spell for you. And let me just do something else here because I didn't do that for a few minutes. That's BORREGO, Borrego or Borrego Springs filmfestival.org. Just like me, you're welcome, Jeff. Oh, okay. Yes, she Anne's basically saying she'll pay for the whole deal. And in fact, she said, I think, Anne, I know she's so wealthy, she'll pay for your tuxedo, the whole thing, you know. Well. Anyway, let me just say, by the way, Jeff, I haven't asked this. Is there a way people are going to be able to see your film?
As it sits right now, not until after maybe March.
Okay.
I can't distribute it at this point, but I've had a couple of offers for distribution, but I'm not going to do it yet. We're going to let it run the gambit with the film festivals and go through this winter season and see where we end up.
Well, once you win the Oscars for it, I mean, it'll be a shoo-in. I mean, I know you're going to win, so there's not even. I mean, it's fixed. If you don't win, the thing is, I'm waiting for them to call me to host the Oscars now that they don't have a host. You know, I'm hoping that they'll ask me to host it. What I was going to say to you, and I'm glad I haven't forgotten this, is that now I'm hearing the screen popping, which means as we come into an end. It's Anne. In my dreams, and I was just about to ask about the film release. Okay, Rabina, it would be great to see you. Okay, yeah, fine. Thanks, Rabina. Thanks. It's in my dreams as well. I think this film should be shown in all the schools around the country and around the world. That's what I was going to say to you. I think this is a 40-minute film that should be part of the education agenda around the world. There's a lot that could be learned from this. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, just off. You don't have to respond to that. It's just, just something that I thought about after I saw it. I'm going to end now. I'm going to say that today's guest has been Jeff Fry, who wrote, produced, directed, built, and shot Krieg. Krieg, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, means war. Please visit the website to learn more about the film, photographs of all the actors, behind-the-scenes video. There's a fabulous behind-the-scenes video. You go to Krieg, K-R-I-E-G, it's been on your screen, let's do this again, Krieg-the-movie.com. Of course, that will be on the video. If you're watching the video, then I'm already telling you something that you already know. Jeff, for those who missed it at the beginning of this broadcast, I am going to close the way I always close. In your case, I'm going to close with the official trailer for the extraordinary film called Krieg. I'm getting compliments here for your presence on today's show, Jeff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be very rude, but once I show the film, I'm going to completely take you, excommunicate you, I was going to say. I'm going to completely take you off of my system, so don't think I'm hanging up on you rudely, but I'm sure you and I will have a quick chat afterwards. But in the meantime, I've got to thank you very much for the best film, and I mean this, the best film I've seen all year. Probably, I've already mentioned to you in a letter, in an email, David Lean. There are a couple of films that come to mind, war films. And I didn't make a point. We're running a few minutes over, but who cares? I have to make this point, excuse me, that people like David Lean, typical British guy like me, why say what you need to say in a sentence when you can say it in 700 pages? David Lean, Bridge Over the River Kwai, extraordinary film. What you've done here is you have condensed all of the dialogue into 40 minutes, and they puff it out with, I don't know, lots of shots of this and that, but you've basically not lost anything in your film. You've taken all of the drama of an epic film, but you've condensed it into 40 minutes. And in this day and age where people's attention span is so reduced, I think it's perfect for this age and that. And also I thank you because there are people that don't need to see, and it exists, blood and guts. And so you've given them the opportunity to watch this without looking away. And you're very Hitchcockian in that sense. It reminds me of the shower scene in Psycho. You've basically taken the shower scene in Psycho and repeated it several times, and it's whatever you want to imagine happens. So I'm an enormous fan of yours. I can't thank you enough for your work. This was an incredible first film. Promise me you're not going to wait 8 years to the next one, because I'll be dead by then.
I promise. Bridge on the River Kwai was actually the first war film I ever saw, and I saw it at a drive-in movie when I was a kid. Probably huge influence. David Lean, with that kind of work, an anti-war film, a reluctant hero. Yes, I probably left an indelible image in me, and I recount those films, those epic films of different people like him and Anakin, and Wolfgang Petersen's Das Boot. Those are all inspirational. They were just beautiful films.
Well, one of the reasons why World War II is so important to me, I was born after World War II, but in the Bridge Over the River Kwai, one of those soldiers depicted was in real life my own father, who obviously came through the war, but not very well due to his captors, the Japanese, who had him building bridges and left an indelible mark on him mentally and physically. So that's why Warren Films, excuse me, very, very, very unprofessional. I've got to shut up on these things. Oh, wait a minute. Look, my glass is empty. Maybe it's half full, I don't know. Jeff, I'm just going to say thank you one more time. You're a master at this.
Well, I thank you. You're too kind with your words, but I do appreciate it. I appreciate that you're a fan of this film. And I really appreciate the opportunity to have been here and to discuss it with you. It's a privilege.
Well, it's been my privilege. Let's just both shut up now. Let's play this amazing trailer, which I think once you see the trailer again, you will want to see the film. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all next week. Love you all. And Jeff, I will talk to you soon. Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Fuck.